Anthony Fantano is wrong in a scathing takedown of Kendrick and Playboy Cardi.
I mean, really, the only conclusion there is to come to at this point is that Kendrick Lamar, when it comes to the morals he puts into his songs and the ones that he throws in people's faces as a means of endearing you to him, he selectively applies them when it's convenient for him and most to his benefit. If it allows him to build on his popularity and get a leg up on a competitor or tell a certain kind of story and narrative, he embraces it. But simultaneously, if it prevents him from doing a collab with an artist that might actually benefit his numbers and his appeal, then he's going to look the other way. That's how it all kind of reads, honestly. And I don't know, from this point, hearing him make commentary on this front is going to be a lot harder to take seriously because of this.
What up, words? Your boy Charles Brown back again, talking facts. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell. Keep sending those Cashapp to CLBMG. Join the membership. Gang, listen. When I was younger, right, and I was trying to find my way and trying to find my lane in this hip-hop thing and trying to understand it at a higher level, when I used to put my heroes on pedestals like KRS-One, Chuck D from Public Enemy, LL Cool J, Ice Cube, right? I used to put these guys on unbelievable pedestals you wouldn't even imagine. Wu-Tang Clan, right? These pedestals of sheer gold where these guys could do no wrong. Nas, Jay-Z, different guys, they could do no wrong. Tupac. And one of the things that kept coming back to me as the years rolled on, that this rapper would say one thing today and he would say something else tomorrow. And I struggled with it for a while, and especially in regards to Nas and Tupac exclusively. Everyone else I understood, but these two guys, I was like, some of these things may be hypocritical. And that was a big criticism back in the day. One of Nas's biggest criticisms, believe it or not, this was before the internet and everything else, that Nas was a hypocrite. One of Tupac's biggest criticisms back in the day, believe it or not, anyone that was there at the time will tell you, Tupac got criticized heavily for being a hypocrite. And I struggled with it for years, gang. I should be like, how can Nas be considered one of the greatest lyricists of hip-hop of all time if he's a hypocrite? How can I look up to Tupac and these other guys if they're hypocrites? And it just hit me one day as I was mulling over these decisions I had to make about if these guys were legit or not legit. And what I learned was that nobody's perfect in this hip-hop thing, gang. All of them, every single one of them, are going to contradict themselves, every single one. And I had to learn that all of us are walking contradictions when you peel back the layers on every single one of us. Rapping or not. Rapping or not. No one is one thing. You're never one thing. So I may do a record today that's super pro-black, kind of like Tupac did. Brenda has a baby. Brenda had a baby. Dear Mama. Then I would come back with a record called I Get Around. Thug Life. These are all different elements of this thing, for one, called life. For two, the urban community has an array of experiences, and they're not always going to be gumdrops and jelly beans and bubble gum, right? And you're going to reflect all of them. Just gonna be honest, it doesn't matter who you are, especially a young black man in the city who we're talking about. We're talking about rappers who almost all of them come from urban communities that have a lot of things going on. And you cannot be one way. You cannot just be this hard rock all day. And you can't be this choir boy all night. You are a multitude of things. We as a people, as a community. And I learned you got to own all of it. One day, I just might be super duper on some, I love my people, and I might make a song about that. And the next day, it may be that my nerves so worked up, I want to write a song about taking out all of my ops in one song. Right? That don't mean either one of those songs make me who I am or define me, but they're part of my profile, my catalog, my portfolio. They all encompass me. I'm one thing today and I might be something different tomorrow, but it's all me. Just like the regular average day person who goes to work, they treat their coworkers a certain way. They act a certain way when they're in that building working. Then when they get in their car, they're super turned up. They're throwing milkshakes on the windshield. They're going crazy. They're bugging out because they're in a different environment. They get home, they're butt naked, putting on butter. I don't know what y'all doing, but at the end of the day, they're all you. And who's to say one is better than the other? Now, I say all that to say this. Anthony Fantano is wrong. I went the roundabout way because there's a lot of people that are in my comments. There's a lot of people on Twitter. There's a lot of course, we just gonna say it, let's get it out the way. The elephant in the room, Drake fans that are spreading this narrative as quickly as wildfire that Kendrick is a hypocrite. This is where we're starting. We're gonna start at the start. Anthony Fantano came out with the watery-eyed video. Just disbelief. He can't believe it that Kendrick somehow didn't live up to the promise of the most morally conscious rapper on the face of the earth. And I watched more than once Anthony Fantano. If you don't know who Anthony Fantano, he is a music critic, the self-proclaimed, the internet's busiest nerd. And I watch him from time to time. From time to time. I take every single review with a grain of salt. I completely 100% take it as entertainment. I am not one of these people who take Anthony Fantano at his word. I do not go and gush over stuff that when he likes somebody I like. I do not get sour puss face when he doesn't like what I don't like. I mean, what I like, what I don't like, whatever. I have no problem with his reviews because I understand he's just one guy milking this game for all it's worth. He's one of the first people that I can remember who completely turned reviewing music into a very lucrative hustle on YouTube. I'm just going to be honest. This guy there's nobody doing it like this guy. I'm just going to be honest. You can say whatever you want. I'm sure there's 10, 15 other music critics. They're not eating like this guy. I'm just going to be honest. This guy wakes up in the morning, goes to sleep. I wonder how many people is on that team. There's no way he's listening to all this music. He's doing all these reviews. Then he's going live. Then he's doing shorts. There's no way he doesn't have a team. I have no doubt that there's people behind the camera helping Anthony Fantano. I have no doubt. But I'm sure this guy, I'm just going to be on a limb and lowball that this guy's making no less than 100 grand a year on YouTube. That's just lowballing, right? I'm sure it's way more than that. So what I'm saying to you is this guy works hard at this, right? And I respect it for what it is. So I normally don't have an issue with it. But what he says doesn't matter. He gives Drake a 3. I don't care. I find it hilarious. But I'm going to be honest. When I saw him gushing over Kendrick all last year, I was waiting for the bottom to drop out. I said, it's going to drop out. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know when it's going to come. But something's going to happen, and Anthony Fantano is going to drop the ball. He's going to drop the bottom out of this love train and fall out of love with Kendrick because I truly believe he was only in love with him all last year because he was dissing Drake. I'm just going to be honest. And he was gleefully enjoying it. This guy been hating Drake longer than Kendrick was in the rap game. I'm just going to be honest. Something like that. As far as I can tell, this guy been hating Drake for a very long time. Let's put it like that. Can we just say that? And to get the takedown of Drake that we got, this was unprecedented, and he loved every minute of it. So I'm going to say, again, this guy was one of the people, Anthony Fantano, who were slapping and clapping and doing high fives and having a ball watching Kendrick take down Drake. Every single time he dropped something, it was like, oh my God, right? And I said, this is cool for now. For a time, it was good. But I always knew, I said, something's going to happen. I said, I wonder what song or what message or what event is going to happen where Fantano turns on Kendrick, because I never felt that he was a true fan like that. I'm just going to be honest. I think he was enjoying the moment of this Drake takedown. I've seen his reviews of Kendrick before, so I can't say if he's locked in. I know he goes with the culture sometimes and says, this is good, that is good. But I truly, this is just my personal opinion of it, and it's not taking nothing away from what Fantano does, but I really don't see how you can listen to this much music and be a real true fan of any genre. You got to think, this guy reviews music day in, day out. That means he's listening to this, that, da. It's constant new music in his ears. What does he actually listen to that he really, really likes? Because he got to cut that off and review the new Benny the Butcher or whatever acid rock or whatever. This guy reviews everything. At some point, your brain is fried and scrambled. In my opinion, that's like tasting mad food every day. Different food every single day. You're just eating it. I don't know how you digest it all. But lo and behold, Anthony Fantano seemingly was disappointed, hurt, and fell out of love with Kendrick because Kendrick is on a record with Playboi Carti. And he made a very passionate video. I wrote down some notes. I want to discuss this video, but I'm going to be the first to tell you, and I know it's not my place to tell somebody that their opinion is wrong, but his opinion is wrong, in my opinion, because what I have to say about this thing, when I started out this video, I was talking about hip-hop, how these urban young men, they got a lot going on, they're never going to just be one thing. Kendrick never tried to be one thing. As a matter of fact, Kendrick is one of the most diverse rappers in the history of rap. His fans are some of the most diverse fans in the history of rap. This guy is talking about some of the most diverse things in the history of rap. And the wild thing about this, to me, for you to take this one collab and try to make it like this man has destroyed his credibility, to me, is crazy. I expect the Drake fans, because they're looking for angles. They've been looking for angles for 10 months. They're attacking Kenny more now than they were when this battle was in the middle of, we were in the middle of the battle. They're attacking him more in the last 3 months than I've ever seen. They're thinking the narratives from 9 months ago that they could have used then, that they're bringing them up now. Gang, they're on the level of, they're trying to rewrite the history books so that you forget the battle happened. Like on social media, their takes are crazy. And they don't stop. It's nonstop. They'll think of something that 9 months ago. They'll think of something and they'll make that the narrative for the day. And it'll be 15, 20 different fan pages running with it. It's insane. So I expect them to say, Kendrick's a hypocrite. They're the one that started that, right? But it's the people with like Anthony Fantano who appeared to be a Kendrick fan that is bugging me out. And I do have people in my comments, and I'm not telling you to say Kendrick's not a hypocrite. That's not what I'm telling you. But what I want you to understand is I do have people that are Kendrick fans, that are committed Kendrick fans, who are like, just call it like it is, Challz. He's a hypocrite. See, I gave up on the hypocrite word about 20 years ago, right? To imply that someone is a hypocrite, that's implying, first of all, you're able to judge that person. And second of all, that's to imply that they are nothing else but that. Because now going forward, everything Kendricks do, they're going to start saying, oh, they're hypocrite. They're trying to build a narrative about this guy. I gave up on that word 20 years ago because I know people are complicated, right? People are complicated, especially a rapper. And especially a rapper like Kendrick. What I'm seeing in my comments, and not only in my comments, on all social media is that, okay, Kendrick played this morally conscious role. And he used it for his advantage. And when it came time to show and prove, he did a song, he did 3 songs with a guy that's reprehensible. So let's talk about that. I want to say, first and foremost, you guys you're bugging. Let's just start it there. You're trying to all of a sudden, just because it's Playboy Cardi, if you really understand what you're saying, it really is really crazy because you're starting this morale thing at Playboy Cardi. You're starting it right there. Like, this guy has collaborated. Look at the whole GNX. Look how many, these are gangbangers on there. You didn't say, oh, he's a hypocrite. Look at this. You remember the pop out? Y'all remember the pop out? Who watched the pop out? It was legit gangbangers in there. I don't know if Playboy Cardi is doing as much as a gangbanger in right off the streets of LA. See, what y'all don't understand is that a rapper's life is complicated. You're saying if he morally just took a stance on Drake, right? Let's just start with the stance on Drake, calling Drake with Meet the Grams and these things. This is where they're calling him a hypocrite because he said Drake was an absentee father. He has his fake daughter, all this stuff like that. And if he somehow says this about Drake, now all of a sudden he has to say this about everyone and he has to disassociate himself with everyone. If that's the case, and I said it in my last video, he can't do no features with anyone because all of these rappers got faults, every single one of them. But the problem with that is you didn't say nothing when he was rapping with Hitta J or anybody else, right? You got a problem when he raps with Playboy Cardi because it's a narrative that they want you to have. Drake fans are mad that Drake wasn't on the same album that they're saying Kendrick should not have been a part of. If Drake would have been on there and Kenny wasn't, this album would be top. That album would be top five. And they would be pushing that whatever song or 2 songs that he's on. That would be the songs that they're pushing, and they would be trying to take credit for Cardi's sales. But some reason that Drake's not on it now, Cardi's this bad guy that Kendrick shouldn't be associating himself with. And you want to say, well, Challz, Kendrick's the one that's making himself so morally conscious. When did he do that? He called out Drake because they were in a battle. And when you're in a battle, you use your person's faults against them. He never said, well, anybody that do this, I'm going to... He said, Drake does this. His ass should die. But he always been open. He don't like Drake. He hasn't liked Drake in 10 years. They're in a battle. So yes, I'm going to use your faults against you. I'm going to make you look like an awful person. He told you, keep it friendly. Drake did it. So he went after him. And in a battle, you get mean and vicious. So he said some mean and vicious shit about him. So you're going to say, Challz, that has nothing to do with the fact that even after that, he came out with Watch the Party Die. We had Euphoria, Meet the Grams. He's coming off morally superior. He's damn near Jesus. He's acting like Jesus, Challz. Trying to free the slaves. So if y'all want to make him into Jesus, let's make him into Jesus. Jesus will go right up there and talk about everything that they're doing wrong. He'll curse you out, not curse, but he'll curse the sinners, he'll curse the sins, he'll curse the Roman Empire, everything. He'll tell them that they is the worst people, the worst humans on earth, and they're all going to die in hell. But then he would be with the thieves, the prostitutes, the people, the shunned people, the dirty, right? Washing their feet. If he was really standing on the word that he was preaching every day, he wouldn't have nothing to do with them people. He wouldn't be around none of them people. He would just be pushing them to the side and trying to get to the good people. I got newsflash for you. Ain't no good people. All of us sins. All of us sin. All of us do dirt. Every single one of them, especially rappers. I'm just going to be honest. So you want to make Kendrick into Jesus. Well, Jesus didn't shun nobody. If I may not be the smartest dude, but I know some things, and I don't remember Jesus shunning people for them having issues. I could be wrong. Somebody could tell me in the comments, well, he did do this, da, da, da. I get it. There are things bigger than me that I don't understand, but from my recollection of history, He dealt with the lowest of the low. Am I missing something? Am I telling it wrong? So you want him to be Jesus, but you want him to pass on features and not work with people because you want this holy roller image that you think that he's saying. No, he's calling out society. He's calling out the party. He wants the party to die. Right? But that don't mean he's turning his back on those humans that go to that party, which includes Cardi. I don't use the word hypocrite no more because I understand this stuff is bigger than this holy roller image that you're trying to bottle this guy up into. It's deeper than that. It ain't no eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Well, this guy's awful to work with. Well, that one's okay. Well, this one, no, we got to cut him off. Well, that one's okay. It don't work like that. Especially if they friends. They've been talking about this for a while. See, Kendrick is not trying to be what y'all want him to be. And he knew it, and I knew it. I was looking at all this love he was getting. I said, this is great. But a lot of these people are new to this. And they don't understand hip-hop. Something he's going to say on one of these albums, something he's going to do in real life. They're going to run for the hills because they don't get it. They're casuals. They're new to this. They don't understand this. They living in a different world. Society is different than hip-hop. I'm just going to be honest, gang. Hip-hop is a different world, and we got different rules, right or wrong. Right? All of them guys that we revere, every single one of them, your top 10, top 20, all of them got issues, gang. All of them, and we like it like that. We must like it because everybody in our top 5 talks their shit and do some real shit in real life. And it is what it is. Ain't no holy rollers above thou in nobody's top 10, not even one of them. We like them like that because we understand they're flawed human beings. Nas is flawed. Jay-Z is flawed. Tupac is flawed. Biggie was flawed. LL Cool J is flawed. We can go on and on. Eazy-E was flawed. Dr. Dre was flawed. We can go on. I can go on for hours, gang. Every single rapper you're going to name, I'm going to tell you how he was flawed. KRS-One was flawed. Right? I can do this all day. Big Daddy Kane, MC Shane, all of them. And we love them anyway. So I don't understand this. Yo, he's a hypocrite because he worked with Cardi. Let's talk about Cardi. Cardi shot a gun near Ruby Rose. He treats Iggy Azalea like shit. He don't go see his kids. Got pulled over for reckless driving, right? Choked his baby mom. She was pregnant 14 weeks. Pushed her in the bushes. This guy's bad news by all accounts. But it didn't stop Anthony Fantano from listening to all 30 songs on that album. See, we can't say that he's doing something morally wrong when we're doing it too. You can't say he's morally wrong for going to listen to, for being on Playboy Cardi's album when you go into your Spotify and play the whole album. Huh? What'd you say, Challz? You don't have the right to judge who Kendrick is rapping with when you can choose to go listen to it. Anthony Fantano listened to that whole album himself. He reviewed it. He talked about it. He talked about the 3 songs that Kendrick is on, and he kind of gave them shabby reviews like these ain't all that anyway. That was because he's hurt. That was because he had this image of him that somehow he did a mistake by doing this album. Now he's like he got to answer to that. I took some notes. I want to talk about it. He said he's basically saying Kendrick is getting pretty much a pass for being inconsistent with what he says, right? He was basically saying Drake don't get the same grace after Kendrick said what he said that Cardi's getting, right? He's basically like, for some reason, Kendrick used his words against Drake, and now Drake, all of his things stick, and Cardi's not sticking. First of all, that has nothing to do. He's basically saying you guys all came down and kept this energy for Drake, but you don't have it for Cardi, and you should. Right? How is that Kendrick's fault? How is that Kendrick's fault that the internet has decided Cardi's not that bad? No matter what you say, this guy was the most talked about thing for like 2 days straight. And a lot of these people didn't have nothing to say about his baby moms and all that. They was talking about the songs. They was talking about the music. So it's not Kendrick's fault that this guy is able to wiggle his way out of any type of controversy and still get people just to talk about his music. That has nothing to do with Kendrick. So Anthony Fantano is making it like, no, Kendrick used his words. He burned Drake, but you guys still hold stuff against Drake, but you don't put it against Cardi. That is not a true criticism. Kendrick can't control who society and who Twitter decides is right and who's wrong. That's not Kendrick's problem. So right there, that little argument, we cooking that. Let me keep it moving. Kendrick throws his morals up on your face to endear his fans, to endear himself to people. How does he throw his morals up to your face? You decided to pick up the thing and listen to it. He didn't say, yo, I'm morally this and that. He says what he says. He says what he says. You listen to it. You decided it was morally upstanding, and you decided to continue with it. He's continued to always say this. He says it himself. I'm a hypocrite. I do things that I shouldn't do. I'm not perfect. He says it all the time. But you guys didn't hear that part. You just saw him ripping apart Drake and calling out Drake and talking to his mom, his dad, his kid. And you heard Meet the Grams. You're like, yo, this guy's like a saint. That's on you. See, me, I'm in hip hop. I can hear a guy tell a great story about this and then tell a whole nother story about that. I can see the 7 different sides of an artist because we got 7 different sides. We make these records with stuff in mind that we want to have a complete rounded record. Anthony Fantano is not an artist. He doesn't make music, so he doesn't understand that. He just digests it really quickly, give it a number. It's a like 6, and then that's it. He moves on to the next album. He doesn't create this stuff. So he doesn't understand we're more than one thing. So he boxed Kendrick in a box of this savior, which he told you, I'm not a savior. I'm not your savior. He boxed him in a box. And then he got his feelings hurt when he came out of the box and did songs with Cardi. And he's even talking about what he actually said in the song. Listen, gang, this kid he isn't beholden to some holy roller shit because you think he should be. And somebody put in my comments, I'm just going to be honest, he ain't had that same energy for JPEG Mafia. Salute to the guy that wrote it in my comments. But it's true, because JPEG Mafia is one of his favorite artists, right? And he's on the pedestal, and he said stuff about white supremacy and this and that and the third. And then he took a picture with Kanye, worked with Kanye. And Anthony Fantano didn't have that energy for him. Matter of fact, he kind of ducked that. I went and looked all around. I only found very little footage of him speaking on it, and he spoke on it one time. He said, I don't need to speak on everything that Kanye does, and I don't even need to speak on JPEG Mafia, but he looked crazy by not doing that because he disrespected Travis Scott for messing with Kanye, but he has no issue with JPEG Mafia, and that's called selective outrage. So this is why I feel Fantano is wrong in every single way on his take on this. I feel like what we're witnessing is selective outrage. Kendrick did, how long ago was Mr. Morale? 2 years? 2 years ago, going on 3 years ago? Kodak Black is on there. And Kodak Black wasn't no saint even back then. As a matter of fact, Mr. Morale is one of the most complete albums where a person is showing you how flawed they are. I don't understand how you heard Mr. Morale and then come back with this take, but I think some of these takes are trying to be in line with what people are going to say. Because when you have short-sightedness about this hip-hop stuff, you're going to say, he's a hypocrite. Then if he's a hypocrite, then Tupac is a hypocrite too. As a matter of fact, there's a lot, like I said in my last video, please show me the rapper that don't have a morality issue. You want him to not have the issue that every other rappers have. You want him to be better and bigger than every other rapper. Every rapper stands on a pedestal at some point. I'm just going to be honest. But you guys want this narrative so bad because you felt you had a saint on your hands, and now you can crucify him. And that's the real issue. A lot of these people don't like a person's success. When somebody gets too successful and they box him into B1, 2, 3, they think they got him all figured out. And surprise, he ain't that. You could have listened to GNX itself, and he could have showed you, I'm not that. Anybody that really know this hip hop thing know that GNX was a declaration. When I heard it, I said, oh, he's showing y'all, he's trying to shake that y'all trying to put this black savior on him. He's shaking that with this. Squabble up, TV off. He's shaking that. Y'all didn't get it. Y'all just thought these songs are cool. It was a meaning to all of that. It was like, I want to shake off all these holy rollers that gravitated to me because of Meet the Grams and Euphoria, and they really only like me because I'm eating Drake's lunch right now. And they think I'm morally conscious and this and that and the third. And they misunderstood Watch the Party Die. This dude's a lyricist. He's just telling you his feelings. He's not telling you, I'm actively going to go out and try to kill all these rappers and kill the party. He's just giving you a perspective. And once again, the casuals that aren't hip-hop heads took it literal, which I take everything literal. Like, he's trying to kill the party. He shouldn't be on no more party tracks. Da, 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 da. Like, it's actually, it's embarrassing. But I know what's happening. It's a lot of people getting into hip-hop once again that don't know what it's about. They have no concept of lyrical or lyricism, so they take everything literal. There is no such thing as metaphors and similes. It's just literal. Whatever you say is literal. So a lot of them are going to take it literal, and they're going to put that on you and make that all you. They won't do it to Drake. They're just like, yo, Drake is Drake. Like, he says some of the most ridiculous stuff, but it never comes back to bite him, right? It didn't come back to bite him until Kenny came out. So now that stuff is actually meaning something. They're overcorrected. They're trying to figure out everything that Kenny's saying. Does he mean it? What does that mean? Because they don't know. Some stuff is just lyrical. I know a lot of people's in my comments, oh, y'all making, not a lot, but a few, like on Twitter and this and that, like, oh, the backpedaling is wild, right? Nah, don't backtrack now. He's a hypocrite. My whole thing about this, like I said, I don't fancy that word hypocrite in regards to just most people, especially artists. Artists are a different animal. They speak in a different language. An artist could create something today that actually doesn't mean shit to them tomorrow. I'm not saying that that's right, wrong, or indifferent, but at the end of the day, they are moody. And you can't be locking them into one thing. I don't recall anywhere where Kendrick actually was like, I am Jesus. And even when he put the thorns on his head, all of this is art. But it's like they can't separate art. It's like a lot of people, he put thorns on his head. Like, it's art, gang. It has a deeper meaning. And people don't go into, a lot of times, because rap has become so literal, we've lost a lot of our orators. We lost a lot of people who really put pen to paper and actually made projects and stuff you got to think about. Kenny, one of the last ones that's commercially acceptable. He's one of the few that is. You got to go to a whole different subculture and go deep into YouTube and find other lyrical people. But right now, on a commercial level, he's one of the only ones doing it. So you got to think, if you're getting bombarded with a bunch of very extremely literal and very repetitive, it's not thought out, it's not very entertaining as far as mentally, you're not getting any mental food from a lot of this stuff. So you're going into stuff thinking everything is literal. Then when you get a guy like this that actually is spitting something that you got to think about, you got to listen to it 3 and 4 times. Like, it's stuff I still find, like I say it all the time, it's stuff I'm still learning on Mr. Morale, stuff I'm still learning on GNX. People do these deep dives and they still don't get everything. They still trying to figure out everything he was doing on Super Bowl. People don't understand all this stuff. And some people don't want to. They don't care. So they're going to take it as literal face value. He said it was green, da-da-da. So they're not thinking outside of that, right? So when he says things more elevated, well, if you're not elevated or you don't want to be, you're going to take it literal. Anthony Fantano should know better than this. He's like, he selectively applies his morals when it's convenient and most to his benefit. If it's going to benefit his numbers or his appeal, he's going to look the other way. So now Kendrick is a clout chaser. When before this Cardi thing happened, Fantano was giving him the utmost respect and making it like this was one of the best artists in the game. And I knew that was going to collapse because he doesn't stick to one style. He doesn't do one thing. So I was like, a lot of these guys going to get shaken off when this guy really starts to switch up like he's going to do. A real artist is not going to stay in one space. They're not going to stay in one lane forever. Not no real artist. You see this guy transforms every time he drops. Every album is different. He has not recreated To Pimp a Butterfly, and he never will. But these people don't understand that. They don't know artistry. That's why I'm surprised that Fantano, just to be honest. Because he was very supportive and very just outspoken about Kendrick. He had a lot of good things to say. For him to come back with this means you snapped, judged this guy just like everybody else. I don't feel like it should be a lot of defending this. When you really know hip-hop, you know these rappers, they're all over the place because their lives are all over the place. And we expect that. The real ones, the better ones, right? Just gonna be honest, that's why a lot of us real hip-hop heads, we got a problem with Drake because his music is so centralized, it's so formulaic. That's why we got a problem with it. We wouldn't have a problem if he was better at expressing himself, but it's like the songs are always in the same lane, same vein, and it never gets out of this narcissistic, small-minded, just trying to be the hottest thing in the club, and it's just like we're over that. But Fantano should be better than this. He should know better than that. He should know Kendrick ain't clout chasing. This guy took 5 years to drop an album. He was getting criticized for that. Where's the music, bro? Where's the album? So he went from a guy you had to beg to get out of the house. Now he's doing things, silly things for clout and numbers, and it, like you switched on him overnight. But you never knew him in the first place. And that's what I was waiting for. I said, he don't know this guy. These people don't know this guy. That's why they quick to say, well, it is kind of hypocritical. If you understand what's going on, he's all of that. I'm all of that. You're all of that. And sometimes you got a friend that you're not going to turn your back on. These guys been friends for a long time, if I'm not mistaken. He called him his evil twin. And a lot of you going to be like, Challz, you're making excuses. You're moving the goalposts. No, I'm not moving the goalposts. No way. This is the shit I believe. I'm not going to call Kendrick or nobody else. I'm not going to call no rappers hypocritical. I'm not going to say you're a hypocrite. Because a hypocrite would mean I feel like what they're doing doesn't make any sense to who they were in the first place. But I know who this guy was. He's a street dude out the hood. We're complicated. I'm sorry to tell you, I don't know if you know that. So we're not going to turn our back on every rapper that has a case. It don't work like that. If real rappers, real dudes in the hood, we understand that man going through some real shit too. He might got a charge, but he a good nigga. That's just what it is. I'm not speaking for this guy. I'm telling you for me. It's people that I can't go up to everybody and be like, yo, are you a good person? Yo, do you have any crimes? Did you do anything wrong? Would you make it into the gates of heaven? I don't do that. You're judging people by their merits of what you got going on with them. The reason he went so hard at Drake, because he don't like him. He's seen this guy for 10 years. He's broke this man down. He saw his issues. And they were in a battle. That's the part everybody's forgetting. The stuff he said about Drake was in a battle, in the context. I really don't feel that Fantano really believes that this guy is amoral or whatever. I think he's just trying to figure out what happened. He put up these expectations and projections of what this guy, he thought that he was. So he's like, we're looking for a little bit of consistency on your morality since you've taken this moral stance. What moral stance? He rapped about not liking dudes that touch kids. We all should not like that. Every single one of us should not want that to be a thing that we like. He rapped about a lot of stuff. He dissed Drake viciously about his morality. That doesn't mean I'm gonna cut off every rapper in the game. I'm just gonna be a monk and I'm just gonna be rapping him into mics by myself. No. And he's not gonna pretend to be holy and righteous because he never said he was. He's just like you and me. He prays. He asks for answers from God. He tries to be a better man, and that's all you can ask for. Calling somebody a hypocrite because they work with a rapper when you know most of these rappers got issues themselves, and a lot of you got issues your own self. You're gonna judge this guy. You're judging Cardi, Playboy Cardi, when you got issues in your own home. You're not supposed to judge, gang. I'm just gonna be honest. And the reason I'm even on here, because there's a lot of noise out there and there's not a lot of clarity. Because I'm just gonna keep it a buck. A lot of these YouTubers that's talking don't understand hip-hop. This is a hip-hop issue. This is a rapper. You're criticizing him for putting his raps on another rapper that you think he shouldn't be working with. This is a hip-hop issue. And a lot of you are bringing in your morality from the so-called real world, which is full of shit, right? It's full of shit. A lot of internet bullies and people doing all kind of nonsense in the real world, but they'll be the first to tell you that some rapper is an asshole, right? Meanwhile, you're the asshole at work, you're the asshole at school, and then you'll come online and make it like you're this holy roller, this morality, this person with all these morals and guidelines that they don't follow themselves. And that's why I don't listen to a lot of people judging people. Now, it's been easy, like he said, we forgive, or we won't let Drake forget, or we won't let we let these things stick to him. You know why we let them things stick to him? Because of his fans. They're awful. And they bring this guy up every day. Every day I go online and I don't even want to get into it. They're right there with a nonsense post. So they're awful people and they make him seem awful. And it makes us continue this thing that should have been ended years. It should have been ended last year. The battle should have been over by like November. We shouldn't even been talking about the battle in any kind of way, but they keep it going. It's always nonsense and we never get a break from it. So that's why we look at this guy. We can't stand him. I think really, so if I'm gonna be honest, when I first started covering this stuff, I was very neutral. And as it went on and the fans got worse and worse and worse, and things just got more and more and more convoluted, I started to not like this guy. I'm just gonna be honest. I started not like him as a person. Because he would go and like their stuff and make it like they're right. And I'm like, gang, you see that you know that they're on some bullshit. But you still go and you'll like this stuff and you'll retweet this stuff. You got a fake Finster where you're edging this stuff on the propaganda. And you're like, gang, you know what? I don't like these niggas. And I don't like his ass either. And this is where we are. So it's not that it won't stick, it sticks to Cardi. I don't even hear Cardi saying anything. He's not playing these games and throwing up these goofy ass memes and trying to stir the shit. And calling academics and giving them information and calling them all and giving them information so they can go out and be the attack dogs. It's a whole different animal. This is why people don't like him. So don't make it like, yo, y'all giving Cardi a pass, but you let all the allegations stick to Drake because he's a fucking asshole and his fans are trash. I'm just going to be honest. If you're a Drake fan and you're not trash to them, I guess that don't apply to you, but a lot of them are. So what I'm saying is I don't subscribe to the hypocrite thing, and I think this whole thing with Anthony Fantano, he prejudged him. I think he spoke out too quickly, and he put a lot of things on himself he didn't say about JPEG Mafia. He put a lot of things on Kendrick that he didn't say about nobody else. But he came out with this video real quick condemning Kendrick, right? And let's just be honest, there's still a guy out there named Kanye West that y'all still listening to his music. Y'all still listening to Kanye's music. Kanye is an awful human being in every way, shape, or form. Kanye has been trash of a person for at least 7-8 years. He's been a garbage trash can person. And for some reason, if he drop an album tomorrow, all of you, including Anthony Fantano, will listen to that album from front to back several times and get us through more streams just so you can say it was good, bad, or trash. But somehow morality never comes into play when you listen to these other rappers. But all of a sudden, Kendrick is being a hypocrite because he rapped with somebody that you find morally reprehensible, but you still listen to I Am Music. I'm going to leave it at that note. CLBMG, peace.
Look, mission impossible to drop a few lines without dropping old times when Southern Hill was still a gold mine. When pistol grips was my shit and I sold mine. When Alias was not a show and they told mine.